Vladimir Putin says that Russia is ready to use nuclear weapons if there's a threat to his country's sovereignty or independence. In an interview with Russian state television, the Russian leader described the US President Joe Biden as a veteran politician who fully understands the dangers of an escalation in tensions.
The United States announced that they were not going to send troops. We know what American troops are on the Russian territory. These are invaders. This is how we will treat it, even if they appear on the territory of Ukraine, and they understand this. I said that Biden is a representative of the traditional political school, and this is proved. But besides Biden, there are plenty of other specialists in the field of Russian-American relations and in the field of strategic deterrence. Therefore, I don't think that everything is rushing so head-on here, but we are ready for this.
Well, our security and defence analyst, Professor Michael Clarke, joins us now. Michael, what do you make of Putin's comments?
Yeah, Jane, I mean, in one sense, they're very standard. He's making these comments because this week Sweden joined NATO, along with Finland, a couple of weeks ago. And that has changed the balance of power very much in NATO's favour in the Baltic Sea. So he wanted to say something. And what he says is what he always says on these occasions, that we will respond, we'll send troops to the border with Finland. The question is which troops he's going to send, because they're all in Ukraine. And, of course, he always, on these occasions, refers to nuclear issues. We in the West, we never talk about nuclear weapons very much, not officially, but he mentions them all the time in every speech. And he always says we have our nuclear weapons to defend our sovereignty. Well, that's fine. That's no change to Russian policy for the last 20-odd years. But he brings it up because he always brings it up. The reason that it's important this week is because this is election week. And the elections are at the weekend, and a couple of things have happened this week which must be a bit unsettling for his election campaign. For one thing, last night, the last couple of days, the Ukrainians have launched big drone attacks, 58 drones, according to the Russians, in 7 different regions, from the Leningrad region in the north right to Rostov in the south. And in particular, the Ukrainians are going after the oil refineries, not the oil supply, but the refineries, the creation of petrol and petroleum products. And in particular, 3 refineries in Kryzhny in the north, in Kostovo, which is in Nizhny Novgorod, and the Ryazan refinery further south, about a couple of hundred miles southeast of Moscow. And in Ryazan in particular, the damage seems to be extensive. And the point about going for oil refineries is that they're very complex operations, they're relatively easy to disrupt, and they take a long time to put right. And as a result of these constant attacks, about 10% of the refining capacity has been attacked in the last 2 days by the Ukrainians. It's actually increasing the price of petrol throughout Russia, so much so that they've banned the export of petroleum products, or extended the ban for another 6 months, in order to try to keep the price down. So the Russians are inconvenienced by this, and it's a way of getting through to the Russian public that this war is not without consequences for them. And then alongside this, a couple of groups that we've heard of last year, the Friends of Russia group and the Russian Volunteer Corps, have attacked in 2 areas, in Kursk, in Belgorod. These attacks are fairly minor. They move in, they take photographs, there is a certain amount of destruction, and then they withdraw again. But those attacks took place a couple of days ago, and all of this is designed, again, to tell the Russians that we're still in this, but also to show that the rest of the world that although these have been very bad months for Ukraine, it is still very much in the fight.
Thanks very much, Mike.